Welcome Sagittarius, your in-depth monthly forecast for January 2026. I'm going to share with you some of the standout details to begin with, then on screen your event chart, which provides a backdrop energy for the whole of the month. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail to give a clear picture which you can relate to in terms of your ascendant, sun or the moon. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. Thank you so much for all your views, interactions, comments and likes. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please help it to continue to thrive. We have found that over 50% of people who regularly watch my videos are not subscribers. If that's you, please help us to see it grow into this new year. Also, if you've yet to watch your year 2026 deep dive Sagittarius video, please see the link below for more. So as we come into this new month, your ruler Jupiter is in a retrograde still, but it is forging two intriguing links. The first to Saturn, which is very much about containment, and Jupiter's about expansion, but in a constructive way, but in a square to Chiron. And Chiron does end its retrograde from July on the 2nd. So I'll unpack both of those for you. Now, in terms of your financial situation, this month looks really bright. And that's because you have a cluster of energy in the part of your scope that is to do with everyday money, but also your sense of self-worth. And one of them is Venus. And Venus can be very much to do with the good things in life. And that's going to be blessed by a cazimi with the sun on the 6th. Also, Jupiter will go face to face with Mars and also with the sun in week 2. That could give you quite a lot of desire to be more speculative, but also it could bring some good fortune to you as well. Now, there is going to be a combination of energy building up in Capricorn all through to the new moon of the 18th. But on the 17th, we have the advanced party making her way into Aquarius of Venus, to be joined by the Sun, Mercury and Mars in the latter part of the month. And you're going to see a big speeding up in your situation, which I will share more about shortly. If you've yet to order your personal forecast for the year ahead, you can do so, and you'll get 12 full months from when you order it if you order in January. If you order it in December 2025, you'll get the rest of that year 3 and the whole of the following 12 months. You'll also get your life roadmap report, which is truly influential in terms of understanding our life journey. But at the checkout, if you apply the code Astro26, you'll get 50% off. But on the screen now is the event chart for Sagittarius at the start of the year. The big takeout is the moon's in your 7th house, and the event chart for January can also be an event chart for the year ahead, and that suggests your ability to tune into other people around relationships is amplified in a very positive way by the moon. The moon also forges a very powerful link to Pluto. Your words and your ideas, particularly towards the end of this month, are going to gain greater currency. Now, in terms of the planet that's in your zodiac sign, it's Mercury for the 3rd year running. Mercury, you may know, is detrimented in Sagittarius and also in a dreamy right angle with Neptune, and a little more broadly with Saturn, but also in a quincunx with Uranus. And Uranus is in the part of your chart to do with routines. If you're very much a bohemian, you want to do things your way, I feel that you just need to be mindful of it feeling right. Sagittarius people can be very bold, decisive, dynamic, but the start of this month is asking you to be a little bit steady Eddie, because later on the 1st, Mercury moves into the sign of Capricorn. It's very businesslike here, so if you have been ruminating on some ideas, as Mercury has made its way backwards and forwards from your sign back to Scorpio, back to Sagittarius through that retrograde season, you may be just priming up, ready to go forwards. And what you're looking for with Mercury moving into Capricorn is solid foundations, more security and stability. And that's definitely something to savour. But just be conscious that that right angle, particularly to Neptune, can be quite distorting. So even if there is something that you're excited about, do be guided by your inner sixth sense. That will be powerful if you give it the space to express itself in your thinking. Now on the second, the retreating Chiron goes direct, but it is in a square with Jupiter at the start of this month. If you have been feeling around your love life that things haven't been running quite as smoothly as they could have been, one of the things I would say, not just through January but through 26, is don't try to disguise some of the things that you've gone through. You can be larger than life, but actually I think that Saturn over the last couple of years has given you a lot of insights into what's to be gained by being in touch with your vulnerabilities, at times frailties, emotional needs, and not being hung up about that. So I wouldn't overgild the lily if you have experienced something tricky. But the fifth house where Chiron is can also be about speculation, and Jupiter can be about, in the eighth house, a desire to improve your financial situation. But I wouldn't be too buccaneering in your approach, and that's where Saturn's more steadying influence on Jupiter can be so good. You can see 26 degrees of Saturn, 21 of Jupiter, just slows Jupiter down a bit, makes it a bit more thoughtful, and it is in a retrograde initially. I don't see that as being ultimately unfortunate, just asking you to be a bit more thoughtful and be in touch with the emotional dimension, because the host Cancer is very much about our senses, not so much about our drive, passion, very Sagittarius, or more to do with our thinking, which is going to come more into your situation as January goes on. But Mercury moving on the 1st into Capricorn, as I mentioned, it can be very businesslike, but we have Mars as well as Venus, and along with the Sun as the reception committee. My word, what a great set of energies. Because Mercury likes being in Capricorn, and so does Mars. It's exalted here. And Venus may be a little more cautious when it comes to a love relationship, but also maybe helps us to appreciate shared values, which is what Venus can be about, and where someone may have a stability about them, which is certainly something that's very valuable in itself. Now, they're all going to go on to come into contact with the Sun. The Venus is the first one on the 6th, followed by Mars on the 9th, but Venus and Mars come into their own conjunction on the 8th. If there is someone that you're closely aligned to at this time, and it is an intimate relationship, things could get seriously sensual. Whether you enjoy good food together, making it, or it is sampling different wines, if it is about the arts, that sensual appreciation is definitely going to be amplified, but so can desire. But also you can become more aware of a relationship which isn't quite working, and one of the things with second house energy, it can be a bit unyielding, a bit inflexible, and sometimes the best of relationships actually do flex a little bit. So that's going to be important. Now you are aware of this because you're a mutable sign. But those Cazimis certainly can amp up desire to improve your financial situation. But just be aware that Jupiter's on the other side of the heavens and joining in, and when we have the full moon of the 3rd, Mars is in an opposition with the moon, which could make you much more impulsive. Maybe about buying something in the winter sales. It could be around someone you're drawn to, and that urgency at the same time can also see the more emotional dimension, which is hosted by Cancer, which rules the sign, which is ruled by the moon, suggests that the desire to improve finances shouldn't be at the expense of what feels right or genuine connectivity. So there can be an urgency about improving your lot for sure, but it also needs to stay grounded and also feel peaceful. and the desire for things can really be heightened with Jupiter and Mars in an opposition, and also the Sun and Jupiter too. That may give you a lot of motivation if this is the year that you want to bring extra resources into your world and excite yourself with being more successful. Why not? If, however, you're trying to juggle your resources and manage a pretty tight budget, I feel you could surprise yourself by the level of ingenuity that you develop, and that will become more obvious by the time we get to the new moon of the 18th, because then the ruler of the sign of Capricorn and the depositor of the sign Saturn is linking back to that new moon, but also Mercury and Mars, and your thinking can be crisp, your way of expressing your ideas can be confident and passionate, but also you can be in touch with your emotional roots and the need for security and stability, and that's no bad thing. Having said that, Uranus links back to them too, so being open to new ways of working, new approaches to using your resources more skillfully, or perhaps even working for yourself, may call out to you. The 20th, however, sees the Sun join up with Venus, which moved on the 17th into Aquarius, and we start to see a speeding up for you, but your natural enthusiasm will really come to the fore in the last 10 days of this month. They're joined on the 23rd by Mars, but on the 21st we have the third Cazimi, Mercury, and your ideas can be crisp, dazzling and sparkle with effervescence. As we have the Pluto Cazimi on the 23rd, your passion for your ideas can really be very much more to the fore. But then Neptune returns to the sign of Aries on the 26th, and that's good because it gets out of this soggy fourth house where it's been for the most part since 2012. And if you have felt at times hugely affected by changes around your emotional or family life, having the furnace-like host of Aries, even if there is a complication between the watery Neptune and the fiery Aries, obviously water can extinguish fire, but I think for you it's better that Neptune is back here. It's actually starting a new journey for the first time in 165 years fully. Of course, we had that brief sojourn of 6 months last year. But as the month comes to a close, Mars and Pluto come into a conjunction on the 27th. This is intriguing. If you do have a debate at this time, you're really going to be very determined to punch your ideas across with vigour. But just be aware that Mars in a conjunction with Pluto can make us perhaps a little bit dogmatic. And if you are thinking about travelling around anywhere, don't rush the journey. I think towards the end of this month, you are going to see or feel a big shift. It will become much more obvious to you once Saturn returns to Aries on the 14th of February. We are moving into newer times. The energy of Capricorn has really been very much to the fore for us all collectively since 2008, when Pluto first moved back there for the longer term after an initial sojourn before then. And since then, the whole energy of Capricorn, which can be very much about the material world, has been to the fore. But you're someone with a real passion for ideas, and you have a view of the world that's often broad, and that's something that I think has at times been tested by the energy of Capricorn, but you can get your reward. So a lot of hard work you've put in since 2008, which you may have felt has not come back to you, could do so this month if you've really been industrious, but you've really also evolved with Pluto's help. Because if we resist Pluto, it can deconstruct our lives in a very painful way. If we accept that change is part of life cycle, and Pluto is about ends and beginnings, something can be rebirthed this month in terms of your self-worth, your values, what's important to your life foundations, but also around your finances, but your appreciation of more natural foods. All of these things can really get such a boost, and then later in the month it's back into an arena and territory where you're really much more at ease, and that is about idealism. It's about moving around. It's about being excited to connect to people where your ideas and theirs chime. So you can make some fabulous, enjoy some fabulous encounters towards the end of this month. But if you are someone who's influencer on social media, have your own YouTube channel, you've got ideas that you feel very strongly about, you can share them with incredible power and authority as this month draws to a close. If you've yet to order your personal forecast for the year ahead, you can do so, and you'll get 12 full months from when you order it if you order in January. If you order it in December 2025, you'll get the rest of that year 3 and the whole of the following 12 months. You'll also get your life roadmap report, which is truly influential in terms of understanding our life journey. But at the checkout, if you apply the code ASTRO26, you'll get 50% off. All the best and goodbye.